What will happen if we combine all the elements of the periodic table? What will be the result and what are the consequences? Perhaps the basis for new treatments for known diseases, or perhaps the way compounds of this combination of all atoms will result in a substance that can sustain human life and possibly lead to long life. This hypothesis hovering on the border between science and fiction. So let us take a look at the scientific facts of this hypothesis and so by scientists for a period of time. In our daily life, chemistry surrounds us, everyone and in everything. It is almost present in every difference and every part of nature, from physics to biology and everything between them. And all this diversity and all the ordinary substances known to us in the universe are provided exclusively by 118 chemical elements, which is located in the most important scientific innovation in the history of chemistry, which was developed by the scientist Dmitry Ivanovich Mendeleev, and you may have heard about this man. We put all the elements in one table arranged by the mass and number of atoms, and this comprehensive classification of all chemical elements known to us all. It is the foundation not of the earth, but of all the universe. This revolutionary discovery that serves as the cornerstone of all future chemical concepts and the consolidation of the role and potential of chemistry as a science. The first table contains only 60 atoms developed in 1969. However, it should be noted that the date of the periodic table of the elements dates back to much earlier, in the 17th century. The book first published about the relationship between some of the properties of the elements in addition to some of their atomic weights. But many of the scientific societies did not accept this amazing scientific discovery, regardless of the absolute accuracy of the position of the elements on the table. However, many current scientists accept that it is impossible to predict the characteristics, or so that there are elements not yet discovered, but Mendeleev's shuttle did so and succeeded amazingly when he categorized the elements in a series according to their characteristics of the phase of similarity. But the appearance of empty cells in the table led to the idea that not all chemical elements were discovered in nature yet. And in fact, over time, each new element is found to fit perfectly with empty spaces in the table, as predicted by this genius scientist, and in this amazing way succeeded in the Innovation League table. And there is a legend that Mendeleev saw the periodic table in a dream, and in fact this is not real, but you can say that the work was entirely fantasy, and work on the table was a cumbersome and arduous process that happened that one day Mendeleev became sleepy while he was working on his project, and when he woke up, he returned to his work, and his friend Professor Estrancev saw him and connected him in a way that was fantastic to his disciples. Well, again, what would happen if we merged all the elements of the periodic table together? To answer this question, we should mention all the characteristics of table elements. Some of you might think that the output would be new supernatural particles, but believe this subject does not concern the amateur and according to the experienced scientists. Also, they can't imagine the wizard to merge all the elements together, only they reveal that they believe the output is a glacial plasma or something like a flaming platinum flames. There is a book by the scientist Random Marnock which confirms that it is easy to merge the elements of the first row and the second row. Third row may cause a fire, and adding the fourth row to them may lead to your death because of the inhalation of toxic vapors, and if we add the fifth grade, we will get a dangerous radioactive element. And at the sixth row for the mix, we can say that the dust of the laboratory will be completely burned, followed by waves of dust. and flames going up into the sky. It is not logical or impossible to add the seventh row. Of course, these are just hypotheses, but most likely someone will do somewhere. The atoms, as it is said, the experience had no proof. But how will the appearance of the final molecule? To what extent will it be dangerous or vice versa useful to society? Professor McTuchman has a critical view that the combination of these elements will not result in any supernatural particles. He believes that the resulting appearance will depend on which atom will fall after the other during the reaction. These experiments can be tested 100 times and the resulting mixture will vary each time. For example, oxygen is characterized by highly reactive chemical potential. If behind hydrogen we get hydroxide, and if there is some carbon near them, we get the deadly carbon monoxide. And with the artificial collision of atoms, as we crush and accelerate the particles charged in the collider, and we often get molecules that barely survived from 4 parts of the millennium before decomposition, and if our atoms to make such as superconductor fight somehow, we may get an unprecedented platinum flame such as what we have collected between a solid metal powder with gases in a sealed container. Director of the Department of Theoretical Chemistry at the University of Texas believes that in this experiment burns oxygen when interacting with lithium, sodium, carbon and oxygen will produce the oxide and nitrogen and inert gases. With some minerals such as gold will not react, and the reactions will result in waste or salt, and at the end this dynamism will lead us to a balanced mix of stable elements. If the result is a platinum glowing in a way, radiation poisoning will occur with a quick and painful death. As you can see, the subject is somewhat complex, and as a result of all these different possibilities, a counter idea arises. Why do we even need to integrate all these elements? If this work will not give us some result entirely positive potential, but if everyone saw this way, we wish mankind to a dead end, and there will be new discoveries, and life will not differ on what we know. Now, maybe we will come back to life as a man cave, satisfied as only get advantages necessary. By the way, Mendeleev did not invent vodka, as some people think. He just defended his doctoral thesis and he did lecture on the combination of alcohol and water. And his paper was talking about its chemical properties, but the standard 40% of alcohol appeared much earlier and appeared in fact if we mix a little of alcohol with a pint of water, we will not get 1 liter of liquid where the resulting mixture particles are smaller than water molecules and alcohol alone. As the author of the fantasy science fiction and chemist Isaac Asimov said, chemistry is a sealed risk in test tubes. But chemistry does not allow us to study nature, but rather to discover new compounds that the world cannot even begin to imagine. Perhaps one day a person will risk and integrate all the elements of the periodic table, and the result will be successful for the future development of our amazing civilization.
How'd you get so far?